All right. So today we are talking about kind of the next step in the process that's working for us in 2026. Today we'll be going over exporting your list, filter stacking. So filtering your ownership data, filtering your land data to make sure you're not wasting any money on mail. Postage just keeps going up. It's going to keep climbing. Deb and I were talking about this a couple weeks back. It's just shocking how much they're making postage go up. So being efficient with your data is very, very important to run a high ROI marketing company. So just, you got to be diligent. You got to stack your filters and make sure you don't mess up your data export. Don't mix up your data, because that could be $1,000 down the drain if you mailed the wrong person or you make an offer on the wrong property. So we'll be going over filter stacking, exporting, pricing. I'm already seeing in the comments, like, what do you price your mail at? Pricing is very, very important nowadays, more important than ever. So I'll show you guys how you can find information on how to price your land correctly and how you can use AI to price out your mail. Before AI existed, I was in this business and I was funneling through Excel, like looking up Excel courses on how to price my mail faster and faster. Now AI can just do it all for you, which is amazing. And then we're going to work with Deb to go over template building strategy. So what makes a good letter? Should you add color? Should you not? Things you should put in your letter, copy-wise, things you shouldn't put in it. And then I'll also show you how you can use AI to just build your template for you. You don't need to use Canva. You don't need to use Google Docs. You just build it out now with a little bit of information. So without further ado, let's talk about exporting. So yesterday we talked about market research, and we picked out some markets. If you guys missed that, make sure you go click that link I shared in the chat after this call and watch that market research video. Super helpful information. Did you guys all find that helpful? Yeah. Great. I know it was a lot to go over, so like feel free to just go back and forth and go through that video and break it up into pieces so you understand the process. But once you get the hang of it, you can really get moving, and it's going to be helpful moving on. So market selection is always important. I want to talk quickly about filter stacking. So there's a couple of things Land Insights was built on that was made solely to save you guys money on your marketing. So in Land Insights, you can type in your county that you're going to export, or your zip code, or your region, whatever, and you can throw in a few very effective filters. So the first one, which is the most important one, is landlocked filter. So you're going to remove all the land that's landlocked with the filter. You're going to remove wetlands, flood zones, bad slope. These are all filters we've created to make sure you're going after A+ properties. I saw a message in the chat that a guy said he had to cancel the contract. Hey, Mike, you want to mute yourself? Okay. Yeah, I saw a message in the chat saying he had to cancel his contract because he couldn't find a buyer. One of the reasons could be it wasn't a great property, or it wasn't a good price point. So it's very important we're going after the best land in these areas. If you don't have a solid piece of land that has like flat topography, no wetlands, no flood zones, it's like a perfect buildable lot, it's going to be hard for you to sell it if you don't have that. So we have all of the filters you can use to go after that. So I'm just going to show you briefly what those filters look like. Okay, so let's just say this is the county we're going after. We wanted to do 3 to 200 acres, right? These are all advanced filters. I don't really recommend using any of these unless you're doing some strange targeted approach. But these are the filters we talk about. So keep only vacant land AI. So this, if you've ever used a different data provider and they don't have an AI or vacant land filter, then you'll put in like the zoning vacant land, and you're going to get houses in that data set. Also, you're not going to get true vacant land, so it might be missing some vacant land pieces. What our technology does is it actually looks at the property and tells you whether or not it's vacant land. Is there a house on it? Is there not? If there's no house on it, we're classifying it as vacant land. If there's a small structure in it, it'll go through. But if there's a big building footprint, then we're going to remove that from our data set. So this filter gives you true vacant land. Okay. Remove bad slope. So this is removing everything that is like very strange steep slope properties. It's always painful when you send out a mailing campaign and you get a bunch of motivated sellers and you look at the property like, this is on a hillside. I hate that. So I always keep this on. Remove landlocked. Again, it's painful when you spend a bunch of money on marketing, you get sellers calling you and you can't even access it off the road. So remove the vacant land that's landlocked. We can include it if you want as well. We've gone deep on this. I don't include it ever. Remove HOA, wetlands. I keep the max at 50%. So anything with more than 50% of it covered in a wetland or flood zone, we're removing it. So we want land that's dry because we want to put in a septic system or we want to build on it. If it's in a flood zone or a wetland, it's likely it doesn't pass perk. So we want to make sure we're hitting land with dry spots. You can also do road frontage if you want to go after subdivides. But just check out really quick. If you don't remove landlock from your property, let's see how much we would be mailing right now. So we're at 2207 that we would be exporting. What happens if we include the landlocked properties? So that's about 200 extra parcels, which is about $100 extra that you'd be wasting on mail. Because mail's about like what, 59 cents at the end of the day. So like you want to make sure you're hitting this so you're not wasting money. Bad slope. Let's take a look. Okay, this is a pretty flat area. And then wetlands and flood zones. So we're at 50 right now. Let's see what happens when we remove it. 700 extra properties that you would be wasting mail on, likely because it's unbuildable. So it's very important to use these filters because we want to save that money on mail. Okay, so this is something I haven't seen in a land data platform is Seller IQ. So in here, we are actually looking at the demographics of our owners and determining who has the characteristics that make them likely to sell to us. Believe it or not, there are characteristics that we've seen that make it nearly impossible for them to sell. So what we do is we just throw on Seller IQ and it ranks all of our pieces of land that we'd be marketing to as low, medium, or high. Low meaning it's a very low likely they sell to us. High meaning they're very motivated based on the demographic information. Obviously, not all high is going to want to sell to you. It's just raising the odds of a response from a mailer. So the high Seller IQs are most likely going to be the highest likely to sell to you. So generally what I do is I export this list and then I just remove all the lows, and that's about 20% on average of our data set we're removing. So that's 20% of the data set. So let's say we were exporting 2,000, we would be exporting 1,500 at the end of the day, which is 500 mailers in savings, which is about like $300 in savings. So if you stack all these up, you're going to be very efficient with your mailers. And then you always want to do deduplicate owners, right? You can target out-of-state and out-of-county owners if you want. I generally don't do it. I just go after everybody. I don't toy with the ownership length. I just use my Seller IQ because it's looking at everything that has to do with the seller. And you can skip trace if you want. We're doing mail, so no need to do that. I don't touch any of these filters. And then you could throw in the AI pricing. Land Insights tries to calculate what it's worth. Obviously, I always recommend doing manual comping. So that's literally all I do, and I just export my data set. Right, so you can just purchase it, export it. Boom. Okay, so that's just the list stacking that I recommend doing. It's super simple. We've made it easy. Just follow those steps. I wouldn't recommend going any further with the filters. That's what I do in my business. Okay, so the next most important thing is going to be your pricing. So I made a really in-depth video on how to comp land. So I'm going to share this with you in the chat. This is like the only video you need to comp land. So let me find this for you guys. Okay, so if you're in that chat, you'll see the YouTube video. Make sure you save that and watch it. It's about an hour-long video on my whole process of comping land. I don't have enough time to go into it on this call. It would be a very long call, but I recommend checking it out. It shows you how I use the tool, and I comp like, I want to say 12 different deals in the tool, and let you know like what I look for in due diligence, all of that. So we're pricing up front. Like there's a lot of people that do blind offers in this call. When we're doing blind offers, we have to comp right up front and price out our list. And we're just throwing out offers. We don't know what the property looks like yet, but we're just making a guess on what 5 acres is worth, what 10 acres is worth, etc. So we're sending that out. So highly recommend this video just for figuring that out. Okay. And then once you get like the basics of comping land, you want to bring that to your blind offers. So highly recommend this video. So our export is still processing. It may take a couple minutes since we're running the seller IQ analysis. I'm just going to bring in a different list for you guys that we can just price out real quick. Okay, so this is a different county, but this is what you're going to get when you export your data. You just get a CSV file, okay? So you've got all your acreages, you got all your information on your owner, their mailing address. This is stuff you all need to send out a letter. Parcel value, market value, that's unimportant. We just throw in a lot, but you got to take what's important. Okay. So what I used to do was I would price out my mail in this sheet right here. I would literally just go filter. I don't even know how to use the numbers app, to be honest. I know how to use Excel. Here, I'll throw it in a Google sheet real quick. Okay, so you guys can all see this now. I would literally just throw on a filter right here. I would go acreage, low to high. So I would like go, I mean, a lot of people went one by one. They'd be like, oh, I think 5 acres is worth 50 grand. Therefore, I'm going to offer 25 grand. And then you would like grab it and bring it down for all the 5 acre pieces, right? We don't need to do any of this stupid manual labor anymore. We can literally just run an AI algorithm to do it for us. So again, we're going back to Claude. Like you guys need to be using Claude in your business if you just want to make things more efficient. So what I would do now is I would throw in our CSV and I would say, I want you to add a new column to my spreadsheet called offer price. I want you to build offers for every row based on my valuation. I know the values of the following. Okay, so this is assuming we already know the values of some acreage points in this county. So let's say like I figured out what a 5 acres worth, what a 10 acres worth, what a 20, what a 40, all of that is worth, okay? So you don't need to know the value of a 23 acre piece. You don't need to know a value of a 38 acre piece. You just need to know a value of like the broad spectrum of different acreage points. So we know the most common piece of land is probably a 5 acre piece, okay? So that means there's gonna be a lot of comps on a 5 acre piece. The next most common is a 10. The next is a 20, the next is a 40, and the next is an 80. So I recommend just finding the values of only those points, and then we're gonna have AI fill in the gaps for the offer price on all of those. So 5 Okay, so let's just assume 5 acres is worth 30,000. 10 acres is worth 50,000. 20 acres is worth 90,000. 40 acres is worth 120. These are just random numbers I'm throwing out. Okay, so I know the values of the following. I want to make an offer of 55% of value on each piece. Values, use math to fill in the gaps for me based on the acreages, you know. Okay, so what we're telling it is add a new column, right? So we're gonna add a new column in the spreadsheet, and you're gonna fill out offers for every row based on the valuation. So we know these values. I want to make an offer 55% of value on each piece. Add that offer price in each row. Okay, and then we're just gonna run it and let's see what it pumps out. It might mess up. I don't know. I'll fact check it. So it should be super duper quick. Okay, so literally this is doing all the work for me. It used to take me like 20 minutes when I was prime to do this. For a lot of people, it takes hours. So it's amazing what this tool does. So I'm gonna go over questions while this is running. So I'm assuming the price AI struggles in non-disclosure states just like price does. Honestly, non-disclosure is not that hard to comp. Like Land Insights pulls in comps for non-disclosure states. So it's really not that difficult. Again, I don't recommend using AI to come up with the value for you. You got to do this manually. So when I say like figure out the 5 acre, figure out the 10 acre, 20 acre valuation, go do that in Land Insights. Look up the county, look up the comps in the county, and figure out what that average value is. And make sure you're conservative with your pricing. Okay, and then Roman, hopefully that's how I'm pronouncing your name right. Land Insights AI, I think it's pro only. Don't take my word for it, but I'm pretty sure it's pro only for AI pricing. But again, like it's there for you. You can use it if you want, but I'm not going to recommend it because I don't want you to blame me when it's off because it's not always going to be perfect. Mike M said, do you price by county acre price instead of zip codes? That depends on your Genie. So you can look up the Land Insights Genie. If it's a low Genie, you can price by the county. And then if it's a kind of a higher Genie, I do recommend breaking it up into zip codes. So when I say Genie, that means like how close the value of the west side is to the east side. If it's a low Genie, that means like this side's pretty close in value to this side. Therefore, we can price by county. And then if that Genie is high, you can break it up into zip codes, and that generally, like a zip code, land in a zip code is generally all about the same value most of the time, not all the time, but you can break up into zip codes and price that way if you want. Okay, so it pumped out that CSV for me. So I'm gonna download it, and then I'm gonna throw that in Google Sheets real quick. Okay, so we're looking for that new column. It's probably gonna be at the end. Okay, so I'm just gonna drag it all the way over to our acreage so we can see what it did. Okay, so now I'm gonna filter it by offer, by acreage. Okay, so it did it all for me. So you can see as acreage goes up, it's increasing its offer, and it's all linear now. So like there's our priced out data set, right? I forgot to give it like the high point. I always recommend saying, I think 234 acres is worth X amount. So then it really fills in all the gaps. It just made a guess for us here. So that's our offer price. That's 55% of value, like I called out in Claude. It's all priced out, like it's ready to go. You can send this data set to Rocketprint, and then you just got to reference the right columns in your template. So make sure you have if you're doing blind offers, make sure you have a reference in your template called offer price. And then Rocketprint's going to take that CSV, and then they're going to send you a proof once it's all in to make sure everything was mapped out correctly. So Deb, just want to go over that process really quick for sending a CSV in the template.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, absolutely. So it's as simple as you said. You download the CSV. You have a couple different options. You can always email it to your campaign coordinator, or you can go into your portal and there's a place to upload your list as well. Your campaign coordinator will help you ahead of time as far as like what Rylan just said, explaining that whatever variable fields that on the letter that matches what is at the header of your CSV file. So if it's offer price, it says offer price. And the reason we're a little particular about that is sometimes there's multiple addresses, especially when you get into probate or trust things, that kind of thing. So we want to make sure we have the exact, and so then we variable map it and we send you a proof. If for some reason there's a question, like if someone says, is this supposed to be address number 1 or address number 2, your campaign coordinator will ask you to. They don't just make assumptions on that thing, on those types of things. But then we do what's called a merged proof, which is it's a sampling of 10 to 20 of your letters. So you can see that dear first name, dear, or your property, and then the property ID, that everything's flowing through there correctly. So you do get proofs so you can make sure that everything was mapped correctly, but it's really easy. And the campaign coordinators are amazing as far as catching things or questioning things if something isn't crystal clear.
Yeah, like here's an example of that, like the reference or like the variables, I guess, like that would be a column name in your spreadsheet, right? So you just want to make sure you line up.
Exactly. So one of the first steps we do if you don't have an approved template on file is we'll take your letter and we do actually make sure these are matching or change the nomenclature so it does match. And then we'll say double check this, but your list said owner underscore name. And so we change it instead of saying owners. Some people say owner's name. We'll make it match exactly. So you approve that before we actually do the merge, just to make sure that everything's exactly what, how you have the headers identified. And then you don't have to redo that. If you're using this template again, you just send in the list and they're going to send you that merged proof. So it's really simple and easy process.
All right. So assuming you priced out your mail, assuming you picked a great market, it's very important you get your template dialed in for your letters. Okay, so Deb shared some notes with me that were super helpful earlier this week on what makes a good letter, and I just broke those up into slides. So Deb, I'll talk through the slides, and you can feel free to add any information you want as well.
Yeah.
But like the basic elements for copywriting an effective letter, they're going to look at it and you need to catch their attention, right? You have about 10 seconds to earn attention. And these are the 4 pillars you really need to hit on to have an effective letter. Because people are getting tons of letters in the mail, especially if you're in a hot market. Yours needs to stand out and really convey trust and urgency, right? So the pillars are structure, content, your tone, and the call to action. What are they going to do after they read this letter? Okay. So the first thing we're going to go over is the structure. You have 10 seconds to get attention. So you need to format your letter so that you really, really catch their attention. So we want to use tactics like quick cash close in as little as 10 days. It doesn't necessarily apply great to land investing because it's very difficult for us to close in 10 days. I may want to raise that to like as little as 20 days, just to be a little more honest. Another thing, reliable investor with 10 years experience serving Austin area, full market rate offers with quick closings. So you just want to you want to have a clear call to action, and your template needs to be very easy to read and quick. But you got to think about every word you're putting in that letter, because one bad sentence can throw them off and not make them read the rest of it. It needs to be super easy to read, and you got to highlight only the important things. So don't be crazy with highlighting, and only highlight the stuff that really hits. And Deb brought up phone number or call to action. So Deb, you want to hit on this a little bit?
Yeah. So first of all, back to that attention grabbing first sentence. If you have a specific list and you know you have that list for a reason, let's say tax delinquencies. You're mailing to some land with tax delinquencies. Don't mess around. Let them know. Hey, if you want some help or relief with your taxes, I can cover your taxes, blah, blah, blah. So always, you know, if you know what the pain point supposedly is, start with that. Don't pussyfoot around. Go ahead and let them know, because then it's going to resonate right away. And you want to say it in a soft way. You want to say it in, hey, I've helped hundreds of people or tens of people that had issues with tax delinquency, blah, blah, blah. So you can start from that helping part, but you want to get that trigger out first, because then they're going to go, oh, wow, there's really some answer to this. So that's really important. And then the highlighting part is, oh my gosh, sometimes when I look at people's letters and they've, because we give free color in the letter because it does help, and we'll talk about that a little later, they start highlighting everything. And it's like, when I open it up, I just get sensory overload. I don't even want to read it, because there's like everything's highlighted everywhere. You don't even know where to look. The idea behind a highlight is it draws your eye there, right? So if there is something super important that isn't the first sentence, that's what you want to highlight. You don't want to like highlight multiple things. I say one thing. I'm not a big highlighter lover fan, but I'll say one thing, like a phone number or a call to action, like fill out this form today, or open this QR code now, that kind of thing. But yeah, and we'll get into more about financial based letters too, because they should look professional. They shouldn't look gimmicky. They should look like a professional formatted letter. You start doing all that highlighting too, kind of deters from that.
Yeah. What I like to do in my letters is I'll generally kind of highlight the offer price if I'm doing a blind offer. Maybe even a like a quick cash closing, like a phrase around that. And then for sure, how to contact. Like that's the biggest thing. You want the phone to ring. Make sure that phone number pops, so that they know what phone number to call, and you're ready for a phone call. Builds trust. Okay, so content, make it about the reader. I really like this from Deb. A lot of people like to talk about themselves, but this is a sales pitch. So you got to talk about them. You got to think about what they're going through. So you want to use more of you and not we, right? So focus on the benefits of the prospect. Think about what they could be struggling with and highlight that. Could be we can pay back taxes, or like you're not doing anything with the land. You're getting tons of offers, but nobody's going through with the offer. So really focus on the seller themselves and what they could be thinking about that would make them want to sell. Signal that you're reliable. So a testimonial can be really effective. So gather a testimonial, throw it in that letter if you want, and then address a clear pain point. So this is kind of vague, like foreclosure. Obviously, the land rarely forecloses unless you have a loan. Most people don't. But if maybe you're not paying your taxes on time, could be like getting sold at a tax auction. You can hit on something like that. But just think about like, what's that pain point and what do you want to hit on? And you can always A/B test this stuff. You can send out one marketing campaign with one pain point, send another with another pain point. You can change other things up on the letter and figure out which one is most effective in getting results. Deb, you want to hit on anything?
Yeah, a good place to start, and I do this when I'm writing copy, is start with your frequently asked questions. You guys should all have those. You should have them on your website. You should have that built. If you don't, think about it or do it. But frequently asked questions. If you have people that are asking you stuff like, how do I know you're reliable? That should be something in your letter. We go to closing, blah, blah, blah. So whatever that is, you don't say, how do you know I'm reliable? You just say, we're reliable because, and you put those out. So whatever those things are you're hearing all the time. Oh, I get lots of letters like these in the mail. Why should I go with you? What is it you say? And the thing is, it's a really therapeutic exercise because it gets you really good at answering those questions too. Because maybe you're not answering them the greatest on the phone when you're on the phone. I think a lot of times we don't talk about the sales process enough, but you should be gathering those frequently asked questions, and you should be honing what positions you outside of the competition. When they ask those questions, it'll make you better on the phone with them. But also if you put them in your letter, these are the things the people that are reaching to you are most often asking. So if that's some of your soft copy, it'll just get you that much higher, farther ahead than the last person that sent in a letter. I would say 90% of the letters I see start with, I want to buy your property in Floyd County, or I hear you, I saw through the tax records that you own XYZ parcel. And that's okay. But, you know, that kind of, there should be something a little more provocative or get their brain stimulated or thinking than that, because they know they own that property, right? That's just to identify what it is you're talking to them about. Again, that's more about you than it is them, because they might own multiple properties. But again, if you can come from a caring place and answer those questions throughout the letter, you'll have a really great winning letter.
All right, so tone is very important. You can't be robotic. If you're using ChatGPT or Claude to write something for you, make sure you tell it, write like a human, write very simple messaging. Don't put anything complex, any complex words that somebody can't read into your copy. So bullet point we had here is, from a place of help or solving a problem, lead like you're trying to help them. Like you want to be their savior. Like, we're buying the land from you. We're trying to help you. Try to answer frequently asked questions. I actually had an FAQ on my letter at some point years back. That worked pretty well. I've seen a lot of people do this. So just an FAQ page. So if you're not doing a blind offer and you want to do a 2-letter letter, so like an opener and a second page, you can put on that second page FAQ if you want, if you don't want to put a contract on there. So that's a really cool thing you could do. If not, you can try to answer the FAQ questions inside your copy, inside that first page. And then you want to create mild urgency. So give a real reason to act now. Never manufacture false pressure. So Deb, you want to hit on a couple points there?
Yeah, so Becca, you know, I was just talking about the frequently asked questions, and that's really smart. You can always print on the back side of your sheet. But another thing is, for all our clients, we give free QR codes. So if you have a frequently asked question page, we can just have a QR code open to that, and we can actually you know, lead them to that. And usually we do it at the bottom with the signature. You want more information, you know, look here. So that's a smart thing. The other thing is those QR codes in your portal are 100% trackable. So you can open and see who on your list opened the QR code. Makes the lead a little warmer. So if they didn't reach to you, now you know, oh, they were interested enough in what I had to say that they opened that frequently asked question. So that's another thing you can do, is on your letter, you can put a QR code with those. But I think, again, it goes to that whole place of solving a problem and helping, you know, and you don't have, it doesn't have to be rocket science. It doesn't have to be an exact pain point. It can just be, again, you have so much experience with what people are telling you that you can make that very generic. You know, you can make it say, hey, a lot of my clients, we're so happy that I could help them. They've had this land in their family for 15 years. Maybe you have the same concern that it's just not being used. I have a list of people that are looking for properties like that. So there's things like that you can say as a entry level question too, where like, oh, I'm trying to help someone else. Maybe you'd like to sell me your land so I can help someone else who's looking for land like yours. So there's things like that you can do. We definitely, and honestly, I was just talk about Claude. I was just talking to the CRO that I report into about building a Claude tool with all of my recommendations, and even entry or introductory sentences, things like that, for my clients to eventually be able to go in there and take their letter and put their letter in there and have Claude rewrite it based on best practices. Doesn't mean you have to use it, but it's something that's kind of on the back burner with us, because I said it would be such a great benefit to have people be able to write their letters and then put them in there, and then have Claude, based on what I've input, do a little critique and change it for them and see if they like it better.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so the most important thing, you need to get them to call your phone. So call to action, make it obvious what you need to do next. If you want an offer on your piece of land, you need to call this phone number. If you want more information on how to sell your land, follow this QR code. So be very efficient with your call to action. I would make it one thing. So make it obvious. One link, one phone number, one clear ask. So I wouldn't call out like, oh, you could email me here, or you can call me here, or you can send a letter here. I would just like keep it a one thing. Just call me. Or if you don't have a phone, then here's my address right here. So just make it super efficient, right? And very obvious. And then repeat the call to action either end. So you want to obviously like say it at some point in the body of your letter, and then definitely at the end, because that is the call to action. You just read the whole thing. Here's what you got to do next.
Yeah. It's pretty clear, but there's a lot of different things you can do for call to actions. But the main one is you want them to pick up the phone. And you can say things like, call today. I'm free to discuss the full valuation of your property. Sometimes you can leave it a little open-ended too. So if you're giving them a price, but you can make that call to action a little softer, a little rounder, so that it's like, hey, let's talk about the valuation of your property today. So you don't have to say call today to sell your property. You can say call today and let's talk about the valuation of your property. So there's different things you can do. I have people that say, call today and I'll give you a counter offer. I think that's, for a first off letter, it's like saying you wanted to give them a counter offer already is a little odd, because it's like you're saying you're already not pricing it right. But I do have people that have that too, like, hey, call me and I'll give you a counter offer. So there's a lot of things you can do as the call to action. I have a couple of people that actually do give, it's a softer close. So they're not asking to buy the property, but they're saying, kind of what I just talked about, I can give you a free market evaluation on your land today. So there's things you can do to get them to call without them thinking you're trying to close them too. There's nothing wrong with asking for the close, but sometimes there's some soft ways to ask them to call, to get them to call and get more people to call. If you're doing actual offers on your letter, that's one great thing about having an offer. They already have an expectation of what it is you're willing to do for them. So that's why a lot of times in fact, you do get less calls on blind offers, but you'll find, those of you that have been doing it, I'm sure found this, and those that you haven't will find out that you get less calls, but the calls are warmer. They've already got in their mind a predetermined idea of what you're going to offer them, right? When you do a neutral letter with no pricing, you will always get more calls, but you'll get people that want 5 times what it's worth. You'll get some craziness with that. They're both great. They both really do end up in the long end producing about the same ROI. It's just that sales process is totally different. So for some people, they don't want to mess around talking to a bunch of people. Other people love it. So it really has more to do with the sales process of what letter works for you and your team based on, that sales process.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say like neutral letters are great if you have a really high operating team. So if you have a team of people and you just want to field as many leads as possible, that's going to be very effective. If you're just starting out, I would recommend blind offers, just so you get the right calls. You get motivated sellers right off the bat. You don't have to take them through a full sales cycle. So up to you based on your positioning. You could also do a neutral letter if you're just alone. You just need to make sure you're dialed in with the sales process. Okay, so these are the main notes we wanted to go over just for building out a right letter. So I literally just took these notes, and within a couple minutes, I built out a random template with a random company that could convert pretty well. So I implemented like the testimonial section. I highlighted the call to action right over here. I threw in a cool little image that Claude made for me. Claude made my logo. Claude just did everything. It took me like 2 minutes to write a script, and it built this out. So this is what I'm going to be giving to you guys is a starting script for your letter template if you book a demo call today with Land Insights. So you'll be getting a free trial, 7-day free trial, and $100 in credits to spend on data or skip tracing, whatever. And you'll also be getting this script that you can plug into ChatGPT or Claude to build out a template for you. So this is a good starting point, and you can just use this and iterate from it. You're like, hey, I really don't like this logo that you created or this image. Throw in an American flag in that corner, and it'll just replace it. Hey, I want you to read through my copy and implement Alex Hermosi sales tactics in order to make this convert better with the copy. The sky's the limit with what you can do here. So yeah, like this was built in minutes. So it literally built out my variables, call to action, copy, all of that. I didn't have to touch any of it. This was the first output. So this is a great starting point. You can just tell it, hey, fill in my information, and then just iterate from there. So Deb, I want you to pick apart this letter template for me. I want you to tell me what could be wrong with it, and then also what I'm doing well at.
So first of all, I just love it, especially that it just came off that quick like that, just with the basic information I gave you. The things that are really good about it, first of all, and I want everyone to kind of think about this. Think about the competition that's coming, the vast majority of it that's coming into your prospect's mailbox. It's just black. Think about it. It's just black text, right? The thing we've learned, and it was from case studies from other financial instruments. So 20 years ago from the banking industry and mortgage companies, you know, they've been doing this for decades and decades. And their stable datum is that a professional letter will resonate better with a buyer when you're talking about a financial exchange 100% more than any other type of direct mail. So that's where the basis of all this came from, because when I first started in Land years ago, everything was just black ink. And I'm like, well, it's working. Well, that was before COVID. And I swear you could have mailed to a dead person and bought their land. But yeah, so when things started shifting and it got really competitive, we switched to this and we offered free color to all our clients. And just think about that. If you got this in the mail and you had two other letters laying next to this or just black text, which one would you gravitate towards for multiple reasons? First, it's eye-catching, but secondly, it really does look like it came from a reputable company, someone who has a logo, someone who has a letterhead. You know, that's the old-fashioned way of sending a letter, was people took their letterhead and put it through their printer, right? So overall, the whole idea of this is amazing. The one thing, and this is being very picky, the one thing is I'm not too excited about that under the return address, that logo thing. It's just a little too much for me with having the sun and then the logo up in the left.
Yeah.
If I were going to have something like that, I would probably screen it way back, which means make it really minute. Like if you were going to do a flag there, that would be very cool. But I would make it what we call in this industry screen back. So instead of being full ink, you just do a soft image of it. So you see it, but it's not like in your face. So that's the only thing I see there. Then love the QR codes on there. I just think that's a really smart thing. One thing we do a lot is that scan for fast cash offer on your land. Often we'll just do a little handwritten note there with an arrow. So it looks like that you took the letter and actually wrote that and put the arrow there. We do a scribbly, like looks like a hand drawn arrow, so that, you know, from the signature on the letter over to there. That's what we'll do. Often with the actual signature too, we'll use a handwritten font that matches that font that we used for that little note, scan for fast cash offer on your land, just to make it seem a little bit more personal, like you printed it and then you made a note on it. But otherwise, I think it looks great. And I love that it starts out with, you know, turn land you're not using into cash. So that's what it's all about, right? So anyone who's thinking about, I could use cash right now, that's going to resonate with them. And then love the close in as little as 20 days, 10, 20 days, whatever that is. So I think it looks great. It really does.
Yeah, it's definitely a good starting point. Again, it's just pumped out. Like if you want to do the handwritten stuff, you'll say, hey, write scan for a fast cash offer on your land in handwritten text and point an arrow at the QR code. Do something like that to personalize it. Put in give it your signature. Here, sign my name right here instead of saying my name twice, which looks stupid. Like sign my name here. Make this less visible. I don't like it popping out. You can just text that, go back and forth until it pumps out something you really like.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise I think it looks great. And as far as the QR code, for any of you that aren't using it, and like you said, you should because it's free. All you have to do is give the campaign coordinator the URL where you want it to go to. So if you have a landing page, or you have a website page, or you have a YouTube video, whatever, and they'll program it so that it prints on your letter when it prints. And they are all pearls. They're all personalized, unique. So that's how we can tell on the back end who opened it. And you'll be able to see that in your portal. You can go in there and see who's opened that QR code so you can follow up with them.
Yeah.
But I think I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed with it being like a one-off. It looks probably better than 80% of the letters we receive from people.
Yeah, one thing I want to note, what I've seen is very effective from people I've talked to, is putting a picture of yourself on the letter as well. If you're comfortable putting a picture of yourself, put it in the corner or something. You just give ChatGPT or Claude an image of yourself, say, hey, put it in the bottom right corner or wherever you want it. Put in this corner right here, and it'll include a nice picture of you to just build reputation, build rapport.
Yeah, excellent note. Yeah, we do that a lot. We like it to be personable. You know, we like it to be. Some people are out in the country leaning on a tree. Other people have professional headshots. We find in this space that the more casual approach to that photo tends to work a little better with the prospect that's getting it. They want to know you're a real person. They like the idea that you're a real person.
Yeah. Right on. Well, that's all I've got for you guys. Deb, is there any final things you want to go over?
I don't believe so. I mean, we could talk a little bit. It's 7 o'clock and people have to go, but you can always call in and we'll talk about it too. But there's different envelope options to use. Like with that letter, what we find that works really well is we do a closed face. So no window on the envelope. And then we'll use that blue ink that we used to sign Ryland's name in that same font, and we'll address the envelope with that same color ink and that same font. So when they open it, it looks like it all looks like it's from the same handwriting. So that's something else we can do. From the double window, it's like a 3-cent upgrade. It's not that much compared to, standing out in the mail more than those double window envelopes. So that's something we can talk about, envelope options. But between the double window and the regs, we're finding the regs are getting, when I say regs, no windows, they're getting opened a little bit more than the double windows. So that's something we're recommending right now. But again, when you call in, myself or someone on my team will consult you on that, like what you're using now and what might help to increase your response rate if you're feeling it's a little soft right now or a little sluggish, or if you've never done mail and you just really want the right recommendation.
Yeah, I do think that the handwritten envelope works a lot better. There's the non-double. I think it's more effective. There's probably 500 letters sitting on my desk over there, and I only opened the one that wasn't a double window.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
All right. Any questions you guys want to go over? I'll start going through these right now. Considering doing wholesaling, how can I find cash buyers using Land Insights in a specific area? We just went over it. So watch yesterday's video. You're going to find the right market. Oh no, you want to find cash buyers. Oh, don't find cash buyers. Put it on the MLS. You can literally wholesale land on the MLS. You just have to have a double close contract. Or you can get private money. It's pretty easy to get. Look up land investing or land flipping funders. And there's people who will give you money to buy the land and resell it. Wholesaling, we call it double closing in land. So you don't go look for the cash buyers, you put it on the MLS. Putting land on Facebook is an absolute waste of time. Putting land on like software is designed to connect you with cash buyers. It doesn't work. It's not a great strategy. It may work, but it's not what I recommend. So you wouldn't recommend robotic handwritten text versus the print? I mean, I'll give you my 2 cents. Robotic handwritten letters is expensive. Like you can always have that option. If there's one market you really like, sure, go send that. But we want to be cost effective. I recommend like that template style I just shared. You go with robotic handwritten text. That's, I mean, Deb, do you guys do it?
We do the handwritten, but it's variable printed. It's not an actual pen. So we don't do it. We actually almost bought one 2.5 years ago, but they're so slow and we just couldn't see. That's just, you have to overcharge for them. And they tend to be, because of that. And like what you said, I also recommend, like if you have a hot list of people that you talk to and you can't get a hold of them, and it's 200 people, pay the $1.30 each and do it, right? But why would you do that with your bulk mail? I mean, why would you pay double to do it? The truth is the pen is using in most cases, in the larger company that's kind of ate up 3 or 4 other of the smaller handwritten style companies, they're mass producing them right now. So they're using the same fonts as us. So it looks identical as ours, except the difference to me, the only difference is you can actually feel it. You can feel that pen, but who's going to get it in the mail and feel it? I think some people do. And I think usually it's people like ourselves that are looking for something new. And so we're like hyper focused on what's different about this, and you feel it and you can tell. But, for double the price, it's not great for your bulk mail. People aren't going to not call because they couldn't feel that it was done by a pen. So that I kind of have the same feeling, but I say, yeah, if you have a small list of people that were hot leads and for some reason you can't get a hold of them, by all means, pay $1.30 each and try it, and see if you can get them back on the hook. So I think that's what I recommend as well.
Yeah, I agree. Like bulk mail, like go the cheap option. Like Rocket Print is very affordable. That's why we always love to work with Deb, because I stand behind Rocket Print. I use it. So like be affordable with your marketing. And that's why like all of these tools connected, Rocket Print, Land Insights, is all designed to save money on the marketing. That's the whole point of using these tools. Have high quality data with effective filtering and cheap marketing so that you can have that high ROI. People will get caught up in these expenses and have to shut down their business if they spend too much on marketing or just waste it away. So you got to be efficient. It's the name of the game. Roman, am I saying your name right? You can always go ahead and talk if you want. You don't need to send messages.
Yeah, you got it, bro.
What exactly is your question? How much is each line of data? What do you mean by that?
What you were going over today reminded me of Data Tree when you're pulling all of this data. And with Data Tree, it's like 10 cents per line. So are you paying per line with Land Insights?
Yeah, so on Pro, it's 5 cents. And then you can upgrade to unlimited data as well. So if you want to just pump out 500,000 letters tomorrow, you can just buy the unlimited data plan. It's like $4,500. Yeah. And then Data Tree, like you also have to think about on Data Tree, you're exporting your data, but you're also sending letters to the landlocked properties, to the steep slope properties that you would never buy anyways. So that's why we're in this space.
Yeah, this is big time. So the pricing, is that something we're able to go over in the demo?
Yeah. I think Pete's in here, and yeah, you might hop on a call with Pete or Coach. They'll go over everything. They're also land investors as well. So it's a really, really solid call. I recommend doing it.
Sweet. Thank you, Deb. Thank you, Ryan. Your information has been amazing. Really appreciate your input. It's very thorough. And Rylan, especially, I appreciate how you mentioned yesterday, and it shows and how you deliver the information, how you try to be as realistic and balanced with using technology as possible. You're a tech co-founder, but you don't try to let it take over your life. You use it as a tool, and you use it intentionally. So I really appreciate that. I'm definitely very attracted to this product.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we've got closers land. I'm struggling with your question. You want to just hop on and talk through it?
Hi, can I talk?
Yeah.
Ryan, first of all, you guys are nice, really professionally.
Thank you.
I like to be here, really, be honest. That's professionally pretty good, but problem is my English, and I'm a little old school. I don't have a lot of experience about for computer, and I've been in that business almost last 10 days. First time I do a lot of different business. I love to do that business, land flipping. I like to do it. So I have a couple of questions only. I have a connected with the Smarter Contact company, and I'm trying to get to my boarding list stuff today, and they asked me what company you work with it. Data. I said, Lens sign it. They said, oh, call them. You don't have any list yet on the system, and we have to make the SMS, and text stuff. You know what they do. I need to get it in. I don't know how you're gonna do it.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're getting into the business. You want to learn the ins and outs, but you don't quite know the process of everything yet.
Yeah.
So like this business is very difficult to just start on your own without guidance, right? We're a software company. We're not going to show you every step of the way, right? I kind of skipped through a lot of the process. I highly recommend going through an education program. And I'm putting a link in here, school.com/Leah. That's another founder of Land Insights. This is the best coaching program in land, and I believe it's around, I think it's under $400 a month. So go through it in 1 month, learn the business, and then you can just cancel your subscription if you want. So that's what I recommend doing. Like, there's so many people that reach out to me in this business. They'll be like, oh, I see, like you're crushing with land and all that. How do I get into it? How do I get the software? I'm like, wait on the software. Like, you need to figure out how this business works first before you just start exporting data and sending mail. So I always recommend going through a coaching program, and every time someone has skipped that, it's been a failure. So I recommend you get the true education that works. And Sumner's program is the first thing I went through when I went in this business. I was his second ever coaching client. So I've been with Sumner a long time. His content's amazing, and he's a great guy. So recommend checking it out.
Thanks.
Yeah, and $400 a month's a steal. It really is. I mean, there are coaches. I'd say the average is like $2,500 up front. So it's really a value, and they go much higher. You definitely can pay $50,000 if you'd like, but
I've seen $40,000 beginner programs. It's crazy. Mike asked Ryan, under contract for a property that's 50% buildable roadside, the back half slope, how does that affect price? It's really hard to tell without me looking at it. If that back half is unbuildable, maybe discount it by like 25%, I would say. 25 to 30% discount it. As long as the roadside is flat, like, you're good. And as long as it has decent acreage. If it's 1 acre and the back half is not buildable, then the front half might not even be buildable. I don't know if you'd be able to fit leach lines for your septic on it. So hard to tell without me looking at it, but generally, like, bigger piece of land, like 10 acres, I discounted like 25 to 30%. Go through that video, Mike. I think it's the Mike I know. If you haven't gone through that comping video, I'd check it out. Sean asked, what are the primary characteristics Seller IQ is rating owners on? It's proprietary, so we're never going to tell you exactly what we're looking at, but we're looking at the owner, their demographics, the piece of land, their history of ownership. There's a wide assortment of things we're looking at. So the way we built Seller IQ is off of land deals that I've done and off of land deals that Sumner has done. So we looked at all the land deals we ever did, reverse engineered the characteristics that let them sell to us, and came up with Seller IQ, which tags them low, medium, or high. So our highs and mediums, those are generally the people that sold to us. There was very, very few low Seller IQs out of hundreds of sold properties. All right, I think that's everything. So, all right, I guess we'll leave it off here. Appreciate you all hopping on. For people in the recording, check out landinsights.co/apply to book a demo call if you want to learn more about Land Insights Pro. And then Deb, how do we reach out to you for that offer again?
There's a couple ways. You can always call, and our number's 1-800-442-0112. Or there's a landing page that's rocketprintonmail.com/landinsights. And that landing page is always up, but right now these specials are on that landing page.
Great. All right, y'all. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I totally forgot we have another webinar tomorrow.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're talking about dispo. This is an exciting topic. Stay tuned for this. If you have a piece of land you bought and you want to sell it as quickly as possible, I'm going to show you the right direction to go with that. So something a lot of people are struggling with right now. I even saw it in a comment. I'll give you guys the framework to sell your land as quickly as possible. So see you tomorrow. Later, y'all.
Thanks, everyone.